I don't watch Tim K, and most people know him as just someone whose whole channel is owing to Harold. But we got a lot of requests for a video on him, so here it is. Tim, like Harold, scans his comments section like a hawk, so anyone who posts anything he doesn't like gets blocked. So this is the only area we'll be able to discuss the truth about him and his videos. To begin, people are very uneasy with this middle-aged man's relationship with the poor tiny Philippines girl who is less than half his age. They say that from watching his videos, it's obvious that this huge, heavy-set man doesn't have any emotional connection to the tiny 18-year-old Philippines girl that he is currently sleeping with. He talks to her like a toddler, they say. His alias in the pickup artists forum has been discovered. He used to post under the name of WashedUPVet. This was how he met Harold and Baldr. They got in touch with each other on the pickup artist forum and met up in Moscow. I will include a link to his posts in the description below. In his WashedUPVet forum pickup artist posts, he described the Philippines girl as a 7, i.e. 7 out of 10 in the looks department, and he also called her a spinner. He even boasts to forum members how he, quote, broke her in, unquote. He talks about her the way other people talk about an animal on a farm or a slab of meat. So the attraction appears to be purely physical, which is not surprising since the girl is fresh out of school and grew up on an isolated island, and Tim K is already a father and nearly 40 years old. I know some people love to beat up on him for his looks and his weight. I don't think that's constructive. He is out in the outback of the Philippines to exploit a poor Philippines family to sleep with their tiny teenage daughter. He knows these people are desperate financially, and it's a way he can get in to get what he wants. Older men are known to visit Philippines in large numbers because it is a country where men who cannot obtain sex in other countries can easily obtain a young girl. The Philippines has an epidemic of abandoned mixed-race babies. A university paper estimates there are 250,000 abandoned offspring of US military servicemen in the Philippines right now, and it is growing. Sex tourists to the country frequently get young girls in the Philippines pregnant and then abandon the children. Even the US ambassador admitted that 40% of the male tourists to the Philippines visited the country for sex and nothing more. Tim Kemp and members of the pickup artist community like to differentiate themselves from sex tourists, but it's amazing to note how they seem to congregate in the exact same countries. Countries where the local population is extremely poor, like the Philippines and Ukraine. I guess according to these guys that game just works better in countries with poor women. Funny how that works out, because if game only works in countries where the people are poorer than you, then it doesn't seem to be game at all, just financial and passport leverage, which is all sex tourism is as well. I've always been confused how offering a poor Belarusian worker $6 to blow you like Baldr did can be constituted as game and posted up on a so-called pickup artists forum. Baldr also talks about paying a drunk Ukrainian woman €20 to sleep with him in another post. This is a funny interpretation of game. Aren't so-called pickup artists supposed to rely on skill and charisma, not paying money or washing machines? No wonder it doesn't work in other countries. These men do some mental gymnastics to tell themselves the young girls they caught are in love with them for their personalities. Coincidentally, the same personality that millions of young women in their home countries don't want, and coincidentally the same personalities that young women who have their own money and don't live in relative poverty-stricken countries don't want. Tim loves to constantly paint himself as the victim, saying he is a black sheep in his family, lamenting how he is a victim of a leftist government. And he tells us he is supposedly a victim of his wife, who he says took their child and won't allow him contact. The truth is there's always two sides to every story. So what side is he hiding? Well, his wife went on a video to accuse him of skipping child support payments, and she claimed he is an alcoholic. She says she feels sorry for Chrissy because she knows this relationship will end badly for this naive teenager that Tim is sleeping with. Even though the 18-year-old girl he impregnated is carrying his child, I am positive he won't ever marry her. As the saying goes, why pay for the coconut if you can get the coconut milk for free? In his WashedUPVet forum posts, he described how he wanted a white wife. He tried to get a white wife in Russia because he said he couldn't get one in his home in California, but it didn't work out. The 18-year-old girl's father is a Philippines fisherman and as poor as dirt, and the girl's mother went absolutely hog wild when Tim bought them a new washing machine. Their friend also went crazy when Harold gave them a few $100. This amount of money basically served as a de facto dowry, commenters say, for Tim to slide into their good graces. They are people on the bottom rung of the socio-economic ladder, and Tim Kemp knows this and is exploiting it, so it appears they don't have any leverage at all to get him to commit. What can they really do now? After all, if Tim decided to up and leave after he's had his fill of their daughter, absolutely nothing. He will stay as long as he gets his rocks off, and he is using the girl to get views and for sponsorship, but when it dries up or he gets tired of it he will walk out. Furthermore, his good friend Harold has even recommended against marrying Filipinas, saying they are the most dishonest people in Asia, so he is most likely to have privately warned Tim Kemp against this move. Maybe if his channel takes off Tim will try his luck in Russia again. This video is sponsored by Tim K's favorite 1990s record artists, The Real McCoy, and their hit song, Runaway. The Adventures of Tim, the washing machine pickup artist. Tim's escape plan. Introduction. People pay millions for a Claude Monet painting of a French sunset, but I think the most dedicated painter in the world is Timothy K. He paints himself as a victim any chance he gets and has honed it into a craft. His attention to detail is immaculate, from the deliberate slow monotonous speaking voice to the hangdog look to the self-deprecation. This guy's acting is, as Harold would say, quite exquisite. So in Tim's latest video he carried on about not having guy friends. This is most likely a primer for bailing on both the Philippines island and his child. Analysis. What are the chances that this guy really values guy friends, as he calls them? History is the best predictor of the future. If he values guy friends so much, why did he fly to only countries where he doesn't even speak the language? I'm no expert, but the ability to communicate might come in handy when trying to establish friendships. He flew to Russia to try to shack up with young poor girls when he didn't even speak the language, and stayed there for a very long time. He targeted young girls who were poor. He got one who was making $7 a day at her work. Tim tells us how a girl got buyer's remorse after sleeping with him and told him never to contact her again. What a smooth operator he must be. But who knows, maybe he just forgot to buy her a washing machine. The strange thing is, during Tim's entire Soviet adventure, he didn't mention his pining for male friends once, and he wrote a ton of in-depth 1000-word Rushvi forum posts. He had no guy friends in Russia or Eastern Europe and stayed there for years, and then immediately flew to a random Philippines island where he doesn't speak the language either, on the quest for Asian clams. In all this time, it didn't seem to bother him one iota that he didn't have guy friends. But now that he has gotten someone pregnant in the Philippines, he's developed this crushing and newly emergent need for guy friends. Maybe it's just pure coincidence. Maybe it's Maybelline. Or maybe Tim just wants to make a sequel to his first deadbeat dad movie. The first installment was him doing a runner on a kid that looked like him. This one will have him leaving a child of a child. And the third in the trilogy is rumored to take place in Africa. It will be called Once You Go Black. You run away if they get pregnant. Many people suspect he's throwing out these videos featuring his misgivings with the Philippines to prepare his audience and get them warmed up for what's to come, to preempt his upcoming desertion. He's about to push the eject button on the Philippines and fly out never to return. Tim may carry a lot of excess baggage, but when it comes to abandoning children, this guy makes Usain Bolt look like Stephen Hawking. He's very fast. I mean, if abandoning your child was an Olympic sport, Tim could be a gold medalist. So even when it comes to his own flesh and blood in America, he has no sense of responsibility whatsoever. Conclusion. Many people still defend Tim, saying we can't take his ex-wife's word as gospel because she may have an axe to grind. Yet, these same people took Tim's word as gospel in his video, My Story. Not one solitary comment there questioned his version of events, but now they want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt and be objectivity police and cross-examine every statement and see all the receipts when a new narrative is suggested which they don't like. Where was all the double-checking when Tim spouted his lies? Or is doing a solemn voiceover enough to establish credibility? His wife doesn't want to get embroiled in the YouTube drama, which is fair play, but because of her and her brother taking the high road and not being involved, she has ended up suffering irreparable damage to her reputation, with Tim being able to set the narrative unopposed and paint her as the villain of the piece. He has 50,000 subscribers courtesy of Harold's coattails and can spread his version of the truth to everyone there. So if he has evidence to refute her allegations, it's very simple for him to clear himself. And we already know he reads the comments here, so he can't say he isn't aware of his wife's claims. Anyways, what do you think? Is Tim Kemp exploiting this teenage girl and her poverty-stricken family for his benefit? Or is he a good guy who changed from a man who specifically wanted a white wife to someone who suddenly were colorblind progressive and being judged harshly for running out on his children and responsibilities? Or do we owe it to the voiceless to speak up for them when they cannot speak for themselves? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for all the new subscribers. We've blasted through the 1,000 subscriber landmark. Comments have been non-stop on this video. The responses were mixed. Nikola Karovic says, looks like Chrissy and her family hit the jackpot and you losers think they're in trouble. Bella Vita says, thanks for exposing these creeps. I agree Tim will leave Chrissy when she no longer serves a purpose for him or his channel. Loki says, Tim will go to any lengths to get your channel banned now. Blazing Angel says, even nice followers who tried to give him advice or concern about his health he'd curse out and belittle them. Spurgvatnik says, you'll never catch me you pesky kids ma ha 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 ha. This shit is like a Scooby-Doo episode. Who says, Tim could redeem himself if he really tried. Primark fumes. This video is ridiculous. The man was found not guilty by a jury of his peers as set out in British law. MD Suarez says, they are furious right now. They will do everything in their power to shut your channel and hide their past. John Parks adds, I like his videos, but this shit is crazy good gossip. He writes, awesome channel. And finally, Larry Wilson says, I think he will just pack up and leave this lovely young girl too. He'll even take the scooter.